Hey everybody, welcome back to the Up and Adam Show presented by Mafia Chronicles. I got my buddy here, Walter White, because we got actually a really cool guest in store for you guys today. Someone from one of my favorite shows of all time, Breaking Bad. And you definitely know who he is. He's also starting a dozen other TV shows, a lot of movies, and he's got some cool upcoming projects as well that I've been keeping my eye on. Please welcome Rj Mitte. How's it going, man? Welcome.
Hey man, it's going great. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh, anytime. I loved your portrayal of Walt Jr. in the show. And I've got to catch a lot of your other projects as well when I was doing my even before, but when I was doing my research just to kind of familiarize myself again. Um, yeah, you've done so many cool things, and it's just really exciting to talk to you just about everything about your journey. And yeah, thank you very much.
Well, hey man, thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed my other works. I try to find very diverse and unique projects. Breaking Bad was a massive part of my life and still echoes in my life today. But you can't really hang your hat on one job. And you always have to keep exploring, and I'm very lucky that I have that.
Absolutely. Your journey from when you first started acting, I was reading online that you actually got into because of your sister, correct?
Correct.
She was actually going in for a Lucille Ball film, and you would go to her meetings, and then you just were like, you know what, let me just give this a shot, and lo and behold, it just kind of was like a snowball effect. Things just kind of, you started doing all these projects, and then Breaking Bad came and everything. But I read that your family at first had some reservations because of your condition with cerebral palsy, and you persevered and became such a successful actor despite that, right? Which many people would probably think, I don't want to do it because of these challenges and stuff. But what motivates you to keep pushing past these obstacles?
Yeah, no. Well, when my sister got that part that brought us to LA, one of the big things is in LA, not necessarily related to my disability, but just in overall general, is that back in like 2005, so the world was very different then, and like if you wanted to work in the entertainment business, you either had to go to like LA, New York, London, like these major cities with major entertainment industries. And I always think this is funny, and I think it makes people laugh. Is that like back then, if you moved to Los Angeles and you didn't go to school, you didn't join a gang, and you didn't act, you weren't going to know anyone. You weren't going to have any friends. And I just really was like, okay, if we're going to be here for 6 months to a year, I guess I should try to have a life here. Um, I think the entertainment industry is a very tricky one to navigate. It's more failure than success, and I think that model is true for individuals with disabilities as well. You have 3 days of failure and 1 day of gain, and you learn more from your failures. You learn more from the struggle than you do from the success. And I just kept being like, okay, this is the cards that I'm dealt, and these are the cards I have to play. So I'm gonna play them and try to play them well.
Absolutely. Well, hey man, if you ended up not playing those cards, look, you wouldn't be here where you are today.
No, no. I would probably be. I couldn't even imagine where I would be or what I would do, and this is my life, and I'm a big believer in philanthropists and philanthropic industries, and that kind of always has been my past or passion. But I couldn't have the impact I have today in my field of philanthropy without the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I when I go on your Instagram as well, right? I follow you on Instagram, and I see everybody commenting on your stuff, and even just hearing you talk about this now inspires me, but you also inspire so many people. Like I see people commenting like, so proud of you, or like, because of you I did this. I wish I had the comments still like saved, but
No,
like someone I'm sure you get it all the time. People tell you all the time, like, because of you I did this, right? So
I mean, and I'm one piece of that. There's two people in that. There's me that hopes to inspire others, and then it's others that get inspired and take action. And when you have an opportunity in the entertainment industry to inspire people to take action, inspire people to be their best and truest self. I mean, I think that's what the job of an actor truly is to invoke those emotions and to invoke those inspirations. And I see a lot of actors that do that, but I also don't see a lot of actors that do that. And I think as someone that is represented in the media, we have an obligation to be the best.
I feel like, you know, I'm not sure why the reason some actors don't take action sometimes. There's many variables that go into that, right?
Well,
But
I think it's scary. I think for a lot of people, it's a scary thing
mm,
to put yourself out there into a fairly vulnerable position of realism. When being an actor, it's all about, oh, we're creating another person to do that for me, and instead of taking that responsibility. So
yeah. And when you were on Breaking Bad, I remember when I first was watching interviews with Vince Gilligan talking about like how he got started with it. He was saying, "Oh, they were first trying to get Bryan Cranston to be Walter White, and apparently he got offered something else, like I think like a medical show or something, and it was a better pay, but obviously Vince Gilligan had a better story and something very special. But I want to know when you first got the script, and you first heard about the project, what was going on in your mind? Did you first think like this was something special, or did you think, this is like something that's like very different, like it's a like what did you even think about it at
yeah,
first?
well, so first and foremost, I love the content. I was like, oh my God, there's nothing like it. And I'm kind of a action, drama, suspense, like type of guy. Like I like those hardcore movies that have that air of like of what Breaking Bad had, that realism, that suspense, that decision making for these characters. And so when I read the role, and I was like, yeah, this is good. And then even more so when I read the character breakdown for myself, um, I was like, this is me. Like this character, because the breakdown really was fairly basic but very specific.
Yeah.
And it said dark hair, big eyebrows, and mild cerebral palsy. I'm like, man, I got that covered.
Yeah, but and it's cool because you put your own um experience with cerebral palsy into this character, but you also made it your own, right? It was not
Yeah.
just you playing yourself, it was you playing the character, but you put your own experiences in that. So did you have a lot of creative freedom as well? Even though it was a very specific character, did you have a lot of creative freedom with the character?
Um. Yes and no. As far as Walt Jr., it Vince Gilligan is so well written. Everything you saw was on the page. You saw on the screen. Like with a lot of shows and movies, you'll read the scripts and they'll have like a lot of stuff in it, and I'd probably say about 40% of that is actually captured from page to film. And when it came to Breaking Bad, to me, 100% of it was captured from page to film. And my character also was based on a real person and that had lived experiences. And so um, the character Walt Jr. was based on a friend of Vince's, Vince had in college, and that impact of his friend in his life really shaped Walt Jr., which for me um, is so important to make it its own and do what the description or that
Mhm.
body language is like, and it created a lot of who Walt Jr. is
Mhm.
visually, because as far as a disability goes, when you see someone with a disability on the street, you immediately go, oh, that person's disabled, and they're a wheelchair user or crutches user,
Mhm.
right? So we immediately see that label, and our brain creates this character of like, oh, this is how I understand that individual. And that happens in TV and reality, and in reality of it though, that person is just an individual, that's going through these things in life. And um as far as what I had to prepare, my history was cerebral palsy, learning through my occupational, my speech, my physical therapies, and my other types of therapies as well, that helped me um master and understand what I have to do to live my life the way that I want to live it. And all I did really was use the crutches. And they're like, oh my God, it's so amazing. But I all it was just putting my weight into them, and making them an extension of myself. Um and so I didn't realize how big of a difference that would make for my character until looking back and going, oh, I guess I really was unique in his own way, in his own mannerisms. And but again, at the end of the day, a lot of it was already there, and I just went in. And when you have actors like Anna and Brian and Betsy and Dean and all the others that I got to work with over the years, they enhance you as well. So really, I felt we see a lot of ensembles, right? Not many are ensembles, and I think in the beginning of Breaking Bad, it was a true ensemble of individuals, that that raised each other, that brought each other up, that pushed each other. Because there's one of the pilot episode where I'm being bullied. There was some improv in that episode, which as far as um my career at that time goes, I hadn't really done it at a professional level. So everyone drived everyone to be the best they could, on and off the screen. We had a cast and crew of 500 people, of the most professional leaders in our industry.
500 people. You think about it when it's like you watch a show or a movie, right? And you see what you see on the screen, right? You see the actors, but many people don't know how much goes into these shows or movies. It's unbelievable, man. Like even like when I watch a movie like The Avengers, for example, right?
Yeah,
You watch the end credits after, like, because that deals with a lot of special effects, all these things.
thousands,
It's like
thousands.
thousands. It's like unbelievable. So yeah, but what's really interesting, like a good takeaway from what you said, a lot of good takeaway, but one thing I'm gonna mention is that when you're an actor such as yourself, right, you get to explore behavior, right? And being a character, again, it was you said Vince's friend, that it was like written about the character Walt Jr., right?
Yeah,
It's almost like, you're playing this character through that individual's eyes now. Again, you have your own experiences, but now it's like
yeah,
everybody, even though cerebral palsy there's a lot of people that have it, it's a
big
big thing.
spectrum.
Yeah, it's like everybody has their own experiences. So you have yours that you grew up with. This individual had theirs, and it's like
Yeah,
now Vince telling you, okay, this is the inspiration, or this is like how I envision this. Now you get to bring your own take into it, and that's what a collaborative effort happens there. You mentioned like even with the ensemble cast, right? No, I've never seen like, hey, like, I love Sopranos, so that's a
yeah.
separate thing as well. But besides Sopranos and Breaking Bad, I've never watched an ensemble cast show where every single actor is phenomenal. Like Breaking Bad, there's not one actor I can say where it was like, I didn't like that guy, or like the actor wasn't good. They were. It's like you guys had something so
Every character,
special.
every character served a purpose. Every
Yes,
every
thank you.
character had a mission. Every character had, and in TV and even in film, you see characters that don't have full arcs. They're not full-fledged individuals with hopes and dreams. And um to me, that I feel really enhances a character to play when there's a goal, when that individual, and a different goal from what your normal goal is. And it's like, when I look at a character, I go, okay, what is this character trying to achieve by saying these things, by doing these actions? where are they trying to go? What is the impact that they're going to have? And are they going to be able to achieve it? Is it unattainable, or is this within reach? And the mentality of that, I feel, helps um enhances everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And also too, I wanted to bring up because speaking about arcs, your character, even your character had a really big arc too. Starting off this innocent kid,
Yeah,
finding out his father has cancer. He tries to be nice and supportive, and then by the end of the show, you end up hating Walt, because of what he did, and even
yeah,
towards Hank, your uncle, right? That scene, which was one of my favorite scenes, the one where Skylar gets the kitchen knife and like says, "Stay away from us," whatever, and then you go in and you try to like protect,
yeah.
Skylar. And even though the show like offsets a lot of, it's probably a lot of fun being around there. Everyone's so nice. That scene probably took a lot of like, probably took a lot out of you, right? Because it was such an intense scene. Was there a lot of those on the set, like very intense scenes to film?
Practically all of them. No. Um. Uh. Those high emotion, high intensity scenes are some of my favorite to do. And I blame Breaking Bad for that. In my career, that I enjoy that type of high intensity type emotion. And I think with what we were doing in Breaking Bad, these weren't just TV characters. These were characters living out full lives, and for better or for worse, and making realistic decisions. A lot of people tell me that it's like, oh, I would never have said that to Walt. I would have stuck by my dad. And I asked him, I'm like, well, if this was your father, what would you have done? And then I'm like, they're like, oh, well, yeah, no, I wouldn't have. And like in reality, what the decisions Walt Jr. were making were basis off of, I think, a lot of realism deep down for a lot of people of like, okay, if this was happening in my life, how would I react? And most people initially say it's like, oh yeah, I would have joined business and did all this, blah blah blah. But when I asked them, like, okay, so he did this, 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 and this, would you still be doing that? And they go like, no,
There
like
you
I I,
go.
I would have not. And I'm like, okay, like so I think, and I give credit to the writers, um, for everything pretty much for again because it's so well written and it was so descriptive in our actions and kind of the emotions behind our actions. And Vince and the team were very everything was very meticulous, and they were like, okay, this is really what we're trying to achieve with this. And for me, I think that's such a helpful tool to have a clear vision, um that is aligned with everyone's, and that's very rare.
Vince Gilligan too, what I love about what he's doing, he's creating this whole Breaking Bad universe. You see like with El Camino, or you see the
Yeah,
spin-off shows like Better Call Saul. It's very unique because again, remember how you said like each character serves its own purpose, right? So he can go on forever. He can make a show about Gus or about anybody at that point. I want to know if what would you like to see him do next? Like what type of spin-off show for Breaking Bad, like that universe?
so here's my take on that is like I'm okay if we end with Breaking Bad,
Okay.
which I mean we haven't, clearly, but as far as it goes, I'm very at peace with what Breaking Bad is, apart from the rest of the genre, just that piece for the family. At the same time, I mean, I think there's still a lot of story left with Skylar, Marie, and Walt Jr. and the other some of the other characters that are left in that universe that initially like Jesse abandons his friends practically pretty much in El Camino, and spoiler. Um and how Better Call Saul kind of goes into Breaking Bad, but like still these characters are surviving, and trying to push forward and trying to live, in their own way. So I mean, I would love to see kind of a whole aftermath of Skylar's family and Marie's family and what's I mean, there's Holly. I mean, I
Yes.
we forget I have a little sister sometimes.
Yeah.
But that type of like protectiveness, because like for me, a lot of people don't understand like what happens when when someone's father is like that in reality, and the DEA steps in and the FBI steps in and the all these governing bodies pretty much come in and and put you pretty much in a witness protection type structure where you can't get out and you're constantly monitored. And so I would be very interested to see what the white family has been enduring, because it was probably a smooth ride with Walt Sr. alive. Um and so I think the real journey for Walt Jr. and Skylar and Marie and the existing family that's left, because like they were getting picked off for a minute.
Mhm. But-
Kind of what they're trying to do to survive in a world that hates them, because like everyone knows who they are, like, and not just them, but they know what Walt did and the death that he caused around, because it wasn't just in New Mexico and the United States. He caused death around the world,
Mhm.
through his distribution, and so that echoes the impact of that and the angry families,
Oh,
and
for sure.
so
People might
I mean,
think. So sorry to interrupt you. I was gonna say people might also think that Skylar, you, Holly, imagine it's like Holly, you're the culprit of this one. But I'm saying
well,
people, they don't understand that you had no idea about this.
and get this though too, Walter White Jr. is still Walter White. So
Oh
no matter where
yeah.
he goes, his father's I I don't like to say legacy, but it technically is a legacy. Um, but it's not the kind of legacy you want. But no matter where he goes, when people go Walter Hartwell White, they're not going to think of Walt Jr. They're going to think of Heisenberg,
Ah.
and so I think that's something that could play into a really big effect.
Do you think that wasn't like I'm not sure if you would know, but like because that was actually a good point. Do you think that was intentional that it was Walter White Jr. Like they did that on purpose because by the end of the show now it's gonna be where Walter Jr. has to like carry that guilt type of thing? Not guilt, but like you know what I mean. Like he's gonna have to carry
But
that
yeah, no,
burden.
no, guilt, torch, however you want to look at it. I mean, like, pressure makes diamonds, but it also makes rubble. I don't know if it was conscious or subconscious. But I do think it was. Um, I don't know actually. I don't really have a good answer for that, because I you would have to ask Vince.
I'm gonna call him right now. No, but it's
Oh,
interesting.
right.
It's interesting. No, because that was a good point you brought up. You said like the aftermath of what happens. I never heard somebody say to me where it's like I want to see a spin-off where it's like takes place after the aftermath of where when Walter White dies, right?
Yeah.
I always hear people saying about Gus or stuff like I hear Gus and I hear Mike. Those are the only things I hear. But I now that you bring it up, it is interesting because you really don't know. It's like what's gonna happen next? Like yeah, again, they had a free ride up to the whole point. They were basically clueless up until like the last couple seasons, right? Well, Skylar at least. You were
I mean,
clueless the
we
whole
were still
time.
we were still dealing with a cancer and a gambling problem. We just didn't know that it was what it was.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. Wow, man, it opens up your mind to all these things. I want to get into actually a really interesting topic as well. That's very important, and I want people to take a lot from this too. Nowadays with Hollywood, for example, there's been a lot more inclusivity, right? But I
Yeah.
want to know, in your humble opinion, if Hollywood does enough to represent actors with disabilities and tries to be inclusive. And if not, what changes do you think they need to be made in the industry to increase inclusivity?
Well, I mean, I think from when I started to now, everything to me is pretty much has accessibility. You know, there are a lot of roadblocks in certain paths, with different things that are hard to navigate in our industry. And I think as far as diversification and inclusivity and in the mentality switch of hiring people with disabilities and hiring people of diversities in general has grown exponentially from when I started to now. I think there's been amazing progress in the industry of inclusivity of creating policies that help people get roles that just work in general. And I've definitely seen it change over the last 10 years, and even in the last 5 years, a massive growth in the growth of diversification. I think what recognized and what helped recognize that growth is there are studies done by many different nonprofit organizations and federal government organizations on inclusivity and the revenue of inclusivity and diversification that is untouched, and the potential growth, and which at the study 10 years ago was, I want to say, like $2.5 billion of untapped revenue in the disability market. And sadly, if you want the people at the top to listen, you start talking about hundreds of millions of billions of dollars, and then they go, oh my god, this is a great idea, and we need more of this, and you start talking about the untapped potential and workforces and all these pros of hiring diverse individuals and people of different backgrounds, and they did studies on the impact they have in the workplace and the positive impact. And I was very lucky that I worked with many different organizations inside my union and outside to help remind people, it's like, hey guys, this is our future. We should not like shun individuals with disabilities. We should not shun our diversification. We need to embrace them because these are stories that people wanted and want. And so I think what eventually happened is all the dudes at the top go, yeah, this is what we want. We want more women. We want more people of color. We want more diversification. And slowly, is it where we want to see it? No. Like we still have a long way to go as far as accurate representation in film and television, and real roles that actually provide people resources and education and tools to grow themselves. Um, um, but we're working towards it, and I think the more we explore this world of uniqueness and diversity, we will continue to grow that. Sadly, what did come of it that I have seen, that everything comes with yin and yang. And you have to take the good with the bad. So for all, like, so many jobs that I'm like, oh my god, this is so amazing. I see a lot of jobs like, well, this is targeting. Like this is targeted diversification. This is our artificial diversification. The individual, I've seen a lot of people where the individuals aren't really diverse, but they know they have to check the box or they're going to get in trouble. It itself has its own double-edged sword where it's like, okay, good, they're hiring people, but they're not hiring them for the right reason. And so I think that slowly with every evolution of an industry, you start here and you grow, and then you realize it's like, oh, this has a chemical in it that we have to change. That might kill people. Oh, this is a perspective that we have to change because it's not accurate. And so it's that testing model of, okay, what works and what doesn't work. Okay, this is how we get those people. This is how we hurt those people. And I think it's evolving and it's growing every day. And as we understand ourselves more, the human element of what we all are at the end of the day, that's what disability and diversification grows towards. No, that scares some people. To be like, because we like labels. You know, humans like labels, and so when you just label everyone as same or human, people sometimes have a hard time understanding that. But once you can look past differences and walks of life that are so vast, um, I think you can definitely understand the needs and help fix those needs in our society that are so important to everyone.
That's amazing, dude. Man, you inspire me so much. I love hearing that. It makes me want to like just just preach the same stuff, just going out there and spreading the
You
message.
you do in your own way. I mean, it's by asking questions, by creating content, by putting yourself out there. You inspire your own individual, diverse, like-minded people. Like one person can't affect all groups. You need many people representing many groups coming together and having conversations. And
Hmm.
it's so important with what you do in the interviewing and in the media world that allows me to work through you and hopefully affect that positive change.
Yeah, of course. That's the goal, man. And one last thing before we end off, I want to bring something up because there was actually a project that I really want to see actually that you're in. You're the lead in it too. And I really
Yeah,
thought it was interesting. I'm not sure if you're allowed to speak about it. I'm pretty sure I'm not sure if it's out yet or if it's coming
which
out once.
one?
I'll tell you the name.
I have a couple coming out this year, and then I'm working on a new one now.
This one called Isaac.
Isaac, yeah.
Yeah, that one, man. I think there was a trailer on it, right?
Yeah, there's a trailer. The trailer actually just got dropped today. They just released a trailer. What's funny is I've been working on that project starting it when COVID started, and then we had to do reshoots, and it has an amazing I think we have some of the strongest female leads in that I've ever worked with on this show. Because I feel like my character is very obsessed with women, or at least how that's written is it's the majority of it's me and like one other guy and a bunch of strong female leads um that are evolving. And the script, Josh Weber, who collaborated with a lot of people to bring this project to life, and um Dove Cameron, Pia Mia, and a bunch of other amazing individuals that came together to create this kind of weird genre. It's I haven't seen it. I don't watch my projects, and it's been in editing for a long time. But I can say in the ADR room, um, I've never seen anything like it as far as the art behind it and the like yeah, when it's like that, like the like it's like
It
what
gets
is
turned.
that?
Yeah, it's the whole 180 on things.
It's just a whole 180. I'm very excited to see what Josh has done with it. Because it's kind of a supernatural thriller.
I
We
love
got this
movies like that, movie shows. I love stuff like that.
same here, and I love playing those roles because you get to explore the obscurity. I find so much joy in obscurity, because we try to avoid it as
Yeah,
much as possible.
yeah,
Um, and so it's from what I understand, they have made it a little more horror-y.
yeah.
Um, and because I'm fairly I think we I'm fairly certain we have distribution. Um,
Well, man,
I
I just can't wait to see it because I've seen movies I'm not sure if you've seen them because if you like obscurity, you've probably seen Infinity Pool,
yeah,
yeah, or Pearl.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
See,
that which is it's that eeriness,
yeah, I
that
love it's a whole new genre, I think.
it's the dead space
Ooh,
of
okay.
individuals, and I think like some of those obscure movies have these moments of like it's and you're like, what? Wait, it puts you on the edge of the seat, and I think it's a new vision of the avant-garde. You don't really hear avant-garde that much anymore. And so I think there's a whole new genre of these types of artistic, gritty, soul searching projects that push the audience and the actors into a world of obscurity.
That's crazy.
Um, but long story short, hopefully by the end of this year, it will be out. And then I have another project called The Unseen that's coming out soon, um, which it's very obscure. But
Another obscure project. There you go.
I don't know what I did. Something happened in COVID where I just started doing very. Uh, I don't even know, man.
I love it. There you go. See, there's the 180 again, you know? But then again, Breaking Bad was obscure too in its own ways.
Yeah,
So yeah, I love it, man. We're excited for all your projects coming out. I'm keeping an eye on everything. So you got like a bunch. It's tough to go through because you got so many things in the works. I'm like, it's hard to keep up with everything, but I definitely will as much as I can.
have you seen The Oak Room?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay. Do you have Amazon Prime?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Free on Prime. It's called The Oak Room, and it was a play that converted to a movie that they converted, and it all takes place in a bar. Like my character, where it's one room really, and it's storytelling. So
RJ, thank you very much, man. This was a pleasure to have you on. I hope we can do this again. Like, just it's nice to just talk to like-minded people like yourself. I'm also an actor too, so it's like I hearing your experiences as an actor. You can relate. Even though we have our own different experiences, everybody can
yeah,
relate, and that's the goal. I want even with my show, with my interviews, I want people to relate, to understand that like even though you're a very famous, successful actor, you're still a human being. I want people to look at you as that person, not like just as Walt Jr. You're Rj Mitte. You got a whole journey and story to yourself, and I'm glad we got to celebrate that today.
yeah, man. It's such a pleasure to be on here, and hey, anything you need, you got my support, man.
Thank you so much.